Today we are on episode 2 of our pre-owned picks series. So I'm going to go ahead and head down to the watch floor and see if I can find 3 watches at 3 different price points with 3 different styles to talk about. Let's go. Welcome back to the Shreve Crump and Low YouTube channel. I'm your host, Jack Tyler, and today I have 3 truly amazing pre-owned watches to share with you guys. Just like in episode 1, we're going to be covering 3 different price brackets. I picked one piece that's under $10,000, one right around $50,000, and one where price is absolutely no limit. We call that pick the Grail pick. Starting off with my first pick, I wanted to choose something that was accessible and fun all at the same time. I decided to go with the Omega Speedmaster 60th Anniversary Trilogy Edition. We currently have this watch listed at $9,000, and for my money, it's one of the best sub $10,000 chronographs from a major brand. The reason this Speedmaster is so special is that Omega has faithfully reconstructed the K-shape of the original 1957 Speedmaster, albeit with an updated movement. This watch represents an unusual circumstance in the watch world because it gives you all of the benefits of a modern watch while still managing to hit all of the keynotes that make the original just so special. Now, I know some of you might be saying that this is simply an homage watch to the original, and if you want an original, then you should buy one from 1957. But to you, I would ask, would you really want to wear a 1957 Speedmaster with the same confidence as the reissue? Simply put, this is not a substitute for the original CK2915 by any means, but instead is a durable companion piece that can actually be worn every day without having a heart attack every time you step out your door. Some specs of this watch include a 38.6mm case, straight beveled lugs, pump pushers, the broad arrow style hands just like the original, and an off-white faux patinaed lume. Inside we have the caliber 1861 that is hidden inside a solid case back, again true to the original style. Let's throw it on the wrist so that you guys can get a better idea of how it wears. One thing I wanted to touch on is the faux patina because some people love it and others not so much. But in my opinion, it comes down to the execution of how it looks on the watch in question. In this case, I think Omega did an amazing job of adding some warmth to the dial without going overboard. I think if this watch had had white lume, it would look a little bit sterile in comparison. It's a really cool watch at what I think is an amazing price, so make sure you check out the full listing in the description below before this one is gone. Now, before I jump into our second pick, I want to take a brief moment to say thank you to our almost 900 subscribers who have joined us. If you enjoy the content that we're making and want to see more videos just like this one, make sure and hit that like and subscribe button and leave a comment below on which watches you'd like to see featured next. For my next watch, I wanted to go with something a little bit quirky at around the $50,000 mark, so I decided to go with the Audemars Piguet Code 1159. Now, the retail MSRP on this watch is actually $51,500, but we are selling this watch for only $38,000. And this gives me a chance to talk a little bit about the other side of AP's catalog, besides the Royal Oak. Audemars Piguet started their history off as a watchmaker specializing in the round, traditionally complicated dress watches. Then the now famous Royal Oak was released and the brand's DNA started to drastically change. These days you will find countless variations of the Royal Oak in all of its various sizes and complications, but what you won't find is a ton of the other models in their line. In fact, if you go to AP's website, you'll only see one that isn't called a Royal Oak. That's the watch we have here today, which is the Code 1159. Of course, we can't forget about watches like the Millinery or the Joules Audemars watch, which are seemingly extinct parts of the AP catalog, but nonetheless worth mentioning. The Code 1159 was released in 2019 under the supervision of CEO François-Henri Benemas as a move to diversify the collections of the brand. When it first came out, there were quite a lot of mixed feelings about this piece. However, I truly feel that this watch is not done justice by the images or renders. You really have to see it in the metal to get an idea of how cool it is. Looking at the case of the watch, we have a two-tone mixture of white and rose gold. You can see that there are a lot of crazy angles that you wouldn't notice unless you're reviewing this watch head on. The double curved sapphire crystal makes the dial appear tilted when you view it at an angle, and I think that that's a really unique feature that adds an extra layer of intrigue when you're pretending to check the time. As you can see on my 6.5-inch wrist, this watch wears extremely well, and you can start to get an idea of how that curved crystal plays with the light at different angles. Looking at the side of the watch, you probably won't be shocked to learn that this watch has an octagonal mid-case, which is a reference to the octagonal bezel of the famous Royal Oak. The watch also features some show-stopping skeletonized lugs that are really industrial and sleek looking in my opinion. As you can see, this is a watch that has a lot of things that you don't notice at first glance, and I think that that's what makes it so cool. The build quality is what you would expect from brands as prestigious as AP, and this thing feels rock solid in hand. The 41mm case is only 12.6mm thick, which is pretty impressive considering that it has an automatic flyback chronograph inside. The movement inside is the AP manufacturer caliber 4401, which is well decorated and boasts a 70-hour power reserve beating away at 4K hertz. This is the same caliber that is used in today's modern Royal Oak chronographs. Now, if you're interested in this code 1159, make sure to check out the link in the description where you can purchase this watch. I figured since we're talking about Audemars Piguet, we might as well throw a Royal Oak in there. Luckily, we have received a very special reference 26330R in rose gold. This is one that comes in just a hair under $100,000, so it certainly falls within the dream watch category for a lot of us out there. This rare 39mm day-date variant of the Royal Oak is known as the Owl because the subdials look a lot like eyes. To me, there's something truly special and riveting about a Royal Oak in a precious metal. The pairing of the brutalist cased architecture with the noble metal always gets me a little weak in the knees. When we get this watch in hand, I just can't help but think that 39mm is just the perfect size for a Royal Oak. It's big enough to be worn as a sports watch, but also small enough and slim enough to fit comfortably on my wrist in a more formal situation. The black grand tapisserie dial features rose gold accenting hour markers and hands. Just a simple and elegant dial configuration that certainly has a lot of impact. The day date is also one of the most practical complications out there, at least for me. You'll notice that this particular example is unpolished, which means it still has its original factory finishing. Now, if you want to learn more about what to look for when you're buying a used watch, we actually have an entire video on that. We're going to put a link to that right here. The automatic winding movement is hidden behind a solid gold case bag. Now I'm going to go ahead and do a wrist roll for you so you can get a better idea of what it fits like on my wrist. Of course, if you're interested in any of these watches that we have featured here today, we invite you to join us at our Newbury Street Watch Salon here in Boston, or of course visit us on our website at shrevecrumpandlow.com to view all the available inventory that we have for sale. Now that just about wraps up today's episode of Pre-Owned Picks. Thank you guys so much for watching, and we'll see you next week.